Hello everyone, I'm Susan Voback, the card connoisseur, and I've been absent for a little while here because I've had an upper respiratory virus, but I'm coming back to life and I just can't wait to show you more of the tree-themed projects I have for the December holidays. Now, this pattern that I'm going to show you, these trees, is actually a quilt pattern that I saw. I do look at quilt patterns because many of them I always think, how could I make that out of paper? So if you're a first-time visitor here, I welcome you. I am a card maker at heart, but I love to find alternative projects with papers and supplies. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator at this time, but I also love anything paper and all sorts of other supplies. So welcome. So what you see in front of you here, it's a tree. And as I said, I found this on a quilt pattern, and it's actually made out of a half a circle like this. And so if you don't have a large die, or I don't even know of a punch that would be this big, I'm going to start by telling you how to make a circle and then cut it in half. And so I think I left my piece out of the room, so I'm sorry about that. But you would start with a square piece of paper. Now you'll have to imagine this a little. This one measures 6.5. So I would say any square piece of paper, you could even use a 6x6 or 1/4 of a 12x12. And you want to pick something that you like, you really like both of the sides of the paper. Like if you look at this one, you can see this side and you can see this side, because both of the sides, the prints on both sides are going to be visible. And I would say don't use something that's white on one side unless you're doing it for your pattern. So I'll leave this right here. So if this was a 6x6 or a 7x7 piece of paper, a square piece, you would fold it in half and then in half again, so in quarters. And then you would take your scissors and you would start at the one corner, and just with your eye, nothing too measured, you would cut right over to this fold intersection, and that's how you would get this shape here. And then when you open it up, of course, if you opened up a square, you would have the other piece over here. You might want to trim it down because maybe it's still more like a square, or maybe it's too pointed out here, which I did get with some of the ones that I did. So now you're going to cut your square, or now your square turned into a circle, in half on the middle line. So that's where we're going to start to fold this up. So you would need 1/2 a circle. Now, this one is this large, and I have made them all the way down to this size, which is 2.5. So you would start with a 2.5-inch square, fold it in half, then fold it up like this to cut it into a rounded edge. You're cutting off the corner, and then you're cutting your circle in half. Now, for something as small as this, you probably do have a punch that's 2.5 or similar size, or you might have a die that's even bigger than this, and that would be easier. But as I said, I don't know of a die that's this large. But if you're a sewer or a sewist, you may have some quilting supplies that where you have a measuring tool that has a curve around the outside. So just look through what you have. I've also used the top of a peanut butter jar. You could use a lid off of a storage container, some kind of circle. I'm sure you could look around your kitchen or your craft supplies and find a large circle. So as I said, this measures 6.5. So how you're going to make this shape right here is you're going to put the curve on the right-hand side. Now, keep in mind, this is the way I figured out how to do this best for me. You may look at this and say, but I like it better with the curve on the left. I'm left-handed. Then I encourage you, always take my patterns and make them your own. That's the beauty of doing a tutorial, is that I do expect you to take the patterns I'm demonstrating and make them your own. So here I have it like this. At 1/3 of the way, and I didn't measure it, I can't tell you what this is, but at about 1/3 down, which the other third would be about here, I'm going to fold it forward and line this up here with this edge and then have it straight across like this. Then I'm going to take about 1/3 again, or about that, and I'm going to fold it forward like this. And then everything comes from this point. I didn't fold this from this part up here or down here. So now from this point, I'm going to take and I'm going to fold again. And you can see then this is how it is. And I suggest to you, which you might see right here, other folds. Take even just a piece of computer paper and make your pattern and start folding so you can get an idea of exactly where the folds go. And even though it's not as evident on this book page, you will see both sides of the paper. So here's what I did on this paper from Stampin' Up. I folded it in half. Oh no, I must have, well, yeah, okay. I did it in half. I think it's inside out. So here's an example of with the curve on the left. So I folded it down at the 1/3 mark and I creased it, and then I folded this one up to this fold, and again from this point I folded it down like that. So I had to play with this several times. Now I took these little what are they called? I'm sorry, I don't have a name for them, but I believe they're still available with Stampin' Up. They look like little mints and they're sticky. And then this is from a former year. You see it. It's a star that I put on top. Now to put this on a card, you could put it on something as simple as a plain red background. You could put it there, put your sentiment across it. That might be fine for you. Or like this card that I showed a couple weeks ago using strips of paper, you could put it like this. You might decide to leave it like this so it's three-dimensional when the person opens the card. Or you might take some of these glue dots and stick them under the layers and stick them down like that. Or how about this card that I made with the tiny strips of card behind a die cut of a embossed tree design? You could also put them on top of this so you see these other tree designs in the background. Well, that wasn't enough for me just to make that one. I started thinking about how could I use these tree shapes. And here's the many that I made. I just couldn't stop making them once I figured it out. There's a little tiny one. Here's another one. I started thinking about the other papers that I had. And this is some paper that I thought would be really perfect, but I'm not sure that I like it. So now that you see all these, and once you practice, does your mind settle down? And do you think about, what else can I do? That's what I do. Now, it's kind of hard to see this looking up above, but I have these huge slices. I didn't buy this anywhere. I have these slices of the birch tree. And I wanted my husband actually to bore a hole in the middle so that, like you see on this florist foam, like this, I wanted this in the center of the birch. But then I thought, well, I don't know. So I went and got this florist foam and have been playing with a little candle to see how I could do some kind of little, I guess they're called shelf sitters, which if you have a very small place, or even if you have a little corner that you want something that maybe is more of a winter design, not necessarily Christmas, along with my tree theme, this is what I created. Now, can you see that? So this little candle, it's smaller than that one, a battery candle, that would fit down in here. And then I made a hole on the bottom of this, and I could set it up like that. Now what you see here is some, what is this stuff called to soak your feet in? I put some on there, but I don't like the texture of it. Anyway, I thought about putting it like this and elevating it up and even covering it with white paper, but it was just too much. I wanted it to be simple, so I have ended up with this. And what I did then with all of these different sizes of trees, which you can do, is I took the paper from the North Pole Delivery, which is a current Stampin' Up! Product, or any other paper that you have that has little animals, and I made a big tree, a couple smaller ones. And how I attached that then is I took a toothpick and glued it up inside of these small ones, and then this one is a bamboo skewer. And what I really like about this is not only does it have the bear and the fox and the chipmunk and the squirrel, but and the rabbit, but it has little tiny gifts and little messages that you could put. Now, maybe you have someone in a nursing home or a very small apartment that does nothing to decorate because they're at that stage of life where Christmas is more about the light and the peace and the love and the joy. Maybe someone's stopping over to visit, than it is about all the hustle and bustle of buying gifts and decorating inside and outside in every corner of your house. If you have someone that wants a little something, and see, you could put this in December, and I think you could leave it up even through January. I think it would bring a little bit of joy to someone's life that just needs a little something, and a little battery-operated candle that lasts hours and hours. You wouldn't have to shut it off every night. The person wouldn't have to have the ability to lift this up and take it off. Just keep it going until it stops. So this is my project for today. It's making the quilt-based trees and either using them on a card like this, or making a little scene for a little corner. Now here has been my project for today. I hope you enjoyed this tree, this folded tree project. And I'd always like to know if you make the projects that I do. Have a blessed day and go get crafty.